Right, morning everybody, out and about, lovely gorgeous day. Haven't done a walkabout video in a while, should I say. Right, so, been a lot of talk about civil war lately, both, online, with online political commentators, discussing about how it's going to happen. I agree to them with a certain extent, but I'm going to try and make this video because I think there's this romantic view about what civil war will be like. I don't think a lot of people understand what would happen if a civil war actually happened in this country. So how would it start? How would it begin? So a lot of people think it will be like an incident like Southport, and it could happen. That could ignite the country, that could set things off, the ball rolling. But I think it's more likely that it's going to be a situation that is a slow burn, and it's happening right now. It's the illegal immigration situation. It's like citizens of this country are being attacked on a daily basis, and the government doesn't do anything about the cause of that problem. They don't stop the boats, they just keep them coming in, they're giving them a taxi service, keep bringing them in, putting them in hotels in our communities. Now they're housing them in our communities. These are undocumented individuals, and nobody knows where they're from, what their past, what their background is, whether they're violent, whether they're peaceful, and a lot of the time they're violent. That's the slow burn. That's what's going to happen. People will slowly get sick and tired of the relentless attacks and the government doing nothing. And in fact, instead of the government doing something to protect the people, they actually do more to protect the attackers. We're seeing this happening in Northern Ireland right now. It's been a slow burn. It's ignited it over there. They're getting sick and tired of it. We've had, that little girl. Was it two little girls that were taken into a house, thrown on a mattress, and brutally sexually assaulted by people that haven't been in the country very long? And then the police coming out, and instead of calming the situation down, de-escalating the situation, instead of doing that, they come out and they blame the people for defending themselves, calling them racist thugs. And that's what happens when the police force has been ideologically captured. Instead of policing the community, they're defending an ideology. And I saw a similar thing happen in Iraq with the police force over there, because they called themselves a police force. It's like what happened in Nazi Germany. The Gestapo was the secret police. They weren't police at all. They weren't solving crime. They weren't going out and solving burglaries and stuff like that. They were protecting the state and its ideology. And that's what was happening in Iraq as well. The Iraqi police were there to protect the Saddam Hussein dictatorship. That was their sole purpose. They didn't care about crime. Most of the police officers themselves were corrupt and involved in the crime. Their job was to suppress the people and to keep them under the boot of Saddam Hussein. And we're starting to see similar things happen in this country, where we're seeing the police, instead of solving crime, they're policing social media, they're policing thought, they're policing speech. Anybody speaking out against the government could face time in prison for benign things. We've seen police officers going round early hours of the morning to question people about their social media posts, questioning the actions of the government or certain things that have happened. Not criminal things, just things that everyday people are worried about in this country. And when that happens, when your police force becomes ideologically captured, and we know they are, we definitely know they are, then your society is in trouble. It really is. The police force is ideologically captured, the judiciary is ideologically captured. And they're all really good ignition points for civil war. When people start to see the breakdown of the system that they put their trust in, that's when you have issues. That's when you have real issues. Because when law and order break down, all bets are off. When people feel the system is no longer fair and they're being persecuted by that system. We're seeing it now. It's the two-tier system, isn't it, in this country, where people are given Lucy Connolly given a 3-year prison sentence for a tweet that she deleted. And then you're seeing criminals, rapists, paedophiles, murderers given soft sentences, or they're just given suspended sentences. People start to see that, and that's when you have the catalyst for civil war. Seeing it, like I said, we're seeing it in Northern Ireland at the minute. It's not showing signs of calming down. It's the build-up of anger. It doesn't happen when you have this sudden surge in anger. It doesn't happen like it's this slow burn anger that's always there in the background, where people have just had enough of what's going on, and it doesn't dissipate, because the more they get frustrated and go up against the government, the more the government clamps down on them, and the more that slow burn anger just steadily keeps burning. And that's what we're seeing right now in Northern Ireland, and that could spread to Southern Ireland, because they're feeling the same. There's a slow burn going on in that country as well. It's happening here too. And I've seen people say, oh, it's going to start off with riots first. It'll start off with riots, and then you'll see small groups banding together and professionalising. Well, I'm sure somewhere in this country right now, in some back room somewhere, there are people organising for the eventuality of civil war. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I have a feeling that will be happening, because I think most people can see it coming. We can see it coming a mile away. The low turnout of the low general election, people are losing faith in the system that is supposed to govern us. They realise that their vote is worthless. And they think, what's the point in voting? Nothing ever changes. These are all catalysts, along with all the other things. These are all catalysts for civil war. And our government is just blatantly oblivious to it. And what scares me more is, instead of trying to quell or to try and reverse this path to civil war, it seems our government is actively trying to encourage it by its actions, clamping down on people that shouldn't be clamped down on free speech. We don't have free speech in this country anymore. That's gone. Democracy is just an illusion. There is no democracy. Everybody put their faith in the Reform Party. It turns out it's no different to the rest. It's just controlled opposition. They've shifted to the left, and all those people that put their hope in the ballot box suddenly just dissipated, because they just see the Reform Party now as being just like all the rest. So all avenues of peaceful revolution are slowly but surely being shut down, and they're all leading to just one path: civil war. So let's talk a little bit about what could actually happen. So like I was saying, at first you will see small groups getting together to protect their communities, because all law and order will break down. Law and order will break down, and it's not some kind of romantic thing, civil war. It's not. You'll have total lawlessness. You probably most likely have starvation, because infrastructure will break down, supply chains will break down, your supermarkets will no longer get stocked. That could be government action to think we'll starve them of resources, and hopefully that will make them submit. These are all tactics that the government could use: shutting off supply chains, shutting off fuel supplies, and that sort of thing. So literally we could see a north-south divide, where the south is supplied and they just cut off all supply to the north to try and quell the rebellion. So you would have people starving, and when people start starving, they get desperate. You have lawlessness. You have, total breakdown in law. It will not be a nice place to live in. It won't. I saw it in Iraq. It will not be like you will literally have to protect your family. You may have people trying to loot houses, breaking into your house on a regular basis. You won't be able to leave your house because you'll be trying to defend your property from people breaking into it. There'll be no police on the streets. Nobody's coming to your aid. You're on your own. You've got to defend your family yourself. These are the consequences. I'm not like trying to put people off. I'm just stating facts. This is what could happen. If fighting does break out, you're going to see fighting in your back garden, in your street, all around you. And this is while you've got your family, young family, your kids, you'll be trying to protect them. You'll see swaths of urban areas totally abandoned because people will just move out. They're all probably living in camps in the woods and stuff like that to get away from the fighting. Whole areas will be abandoned. And it will not be pretty. I'm not trying to sugarcoat this at all. It will not be pretty what will happen. And then you might have outside influence stepping in. You may have Putin who takes an opportunity, sees a civil war happening in this country and starts to supply the rebels with weapons, because he will see that whilst our country is fighting amongst itself, he will take this as an opportunity to destroy the country by supplying. It could even supply both sides. Who knows? All the different factions. It's not just going to be one faction against another. There'll be lots of different factions. You know, you might even see Putin supplying the Islamist factions to fight against the British people, to sow division and to keep the war going. That could happen. You could have the UN stepping in. You could have UN troops on British soil. You could see NATO troops on British soil fighting for the Starmer regime. You could see the EU stepping in, taking this opportunity to bring Britain back into the EU to try and restore order. You can see a whole host of things happening. So it wouldn't just be indigenous people against the government. There will be lots of people involved, all with different agendas, all taking advantage of the situation. Just like Iraq. So that's the path we're heading down, and it's not a pretty one. And a civil war could potentially go on for years. I think the police would pretty much be overrun straight away. They wouldn't be able to cope. They're not trained for it. We've seen how bad the police are. It's, you know, the police are okay while people still think the system is there to protect them. The minute people wake up and realise that these people are not my friend, they're my enemy, the police will be becoming ineffective. They'll just be overrun within a few months. Our military, although they're a professional army, are no match for overwhelming numbers. Doesn't matter how many professional soldiers you've got, if the enemy can keep throwing numbers at you in vast amounts, you'll be overrun too. And then we'll just see the fall of the country. It'll fall, it'll be a failed state, it'll be fractured, and that will be that. And then we'll begin the long, hard process of rebuilding from the Civil War into something hopefully better, or it could be worse. We could have dictatorship. Who knows what could happen? Civil war is unpredictable. Just don't know what could happen. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this. So let me know what you think below. I know it's a long video, but I had to get this off my chest because a lot of people are romanticising about what civil war could mean. They just think cavaliers and roundheads and you know, fighting for your country, patriotism and stuff like that. They don't realise that lots and lots of people will probably die in the conflict on both sides. And then you realise that once the civil war is over, those two sides have to live in that same country, and there will always be that resentment for centuries about what happened. There always will be, and you can't come back from that. You really can't. Anyway, they're just my thoughts on it. Let me know what you think below in the comments. This is Vindicator signing off.